All right, how I would lose 40 pounds in 90 days if I had to start over.
If I had to lose 40 pounds in 90 days starting tomorrow, this is exactly what I would do. Not what I would try, what I would do. Because I've already done it. I lost 130 pounds. And if I had to go back and do it again, no.
I don't know if losing 130 pounds in however amount of time he did it constitutes someone who would know how to lose 40 pounds in 90 days. But, I've seen this guy before, Peach Fit. I think he has a lot of good things to say. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. This is a wild screen for me to stop on. I am so sorry, brother.
What I know now, the plan would look exactly like what I'm about to show you. 5 steps, 90 days, 40 pounds. Let's get into it. Well, first off, why 90 days? Because it's the sweet spot. It's long enough to finally start seeing results in the mirror. 90 days.
90 days is... I've always had an issue with people who kind of obsess over the I need to lose X amount of weight, X amount of time. Because I think anyone can really easily lose a lot of weight really quickly and kind of like in a challenge mindset. I mean, technically you can cut off your arm and lose like a fifth of your body weight. But my point is, like, if you went to like an extreme diet, like you ate 400 calories a day, you would feel like absolute shit. Or let's say you didn't eat at all, you completely fasted. You're going to lose weight, but it was never sustainable. You didn't learn anything. All you're going to do is go super hard when you get back into eating because either one or two things. You're going to have so much food noise that you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm starving and I have to eat something. Or you're just going to know that you could do that again and you kind of use it as a safety net. That's something that kind of happens. A lot of people, they call it like yo-yo dieting, where basically you go through a diet, you kind of mentally check yourself in. You go like, yeah, I can do this. I know how to diet. And because of that, you're always like, I can do that tomorrow. I can diet because I've done it. It's kind of like a weird phenomenon. I think I've done it personally, where I've gotten comfortable with knowing I have this knowledge, and therefore I kind of use it to justify not being super accountable in the ways I probably should be. But I'm already yapping so much.
So that's exactly what it took me, and that's exactly what took all my clients, is around 90 days to actually start seeing results. And it's not long enough to have a huge commitment, because if I were to say, let's say 365 days, you'd be like, that's, a whole year, but if you're looking at 90 days.
I get it, because technically when you tell people to like kind of reach for a goal, I'm impatient. People are impatient. Hey, we can get you the perfect life. You just got to give me a year of work. I'm just going to keep the life I already have. Like it's so out there. 90 days is like a very just pretty sounding number. So I get that entirely.
These small steps, it seems very, very possible. And you absolutely can in that short amount of time. 90 days is 13 weeks. That's it. If you commit to these 13 weeks and...
This guy can do math. Hell yeah. This guy can do math. 90 days is 13 weeks. You heard it here.
Follow these 5 steps, you're going to be looking like a completely different human being. And with 13 weeks, that's enough time to have a built foundation of how to actually do it and having the system in place to actually lose the weight. And after the 13 weeks, you'll...
Okay, I'm glad he added that, because that is kind of like the point, right? It's like if you're learning the lessons in a crash course kind of beautiful style, but it's lessons that you should take long term. That way you're not doing the hard part over and over again, but actually living a life that kind of makes more sense. That's the hardest part. You see people all the time, they'll literally lose weight and gain it all back. I've done it. Maybe not as much as before, but I've definitely gained weight after losing it quite a few times, just because I didn't learn anything out of it.
You'll have a solid system and a solid foundation to be able to just keep going, because most people just don't need to lose weight at 40 pounds. They need to lose 100 pounds, which I totally understand. So implementing these 5 things that I'm about to tell you, it's going to help you a lot. So let's get into it. Week 1, do this one thing first. And I want to make this absolutely clear. Don't just jump into this right away, just trying to do everything perfect. Waking up at 4 a.m., you going and having the perfect micronutrients.
That's such an excellent point. People try to do a lot. I remember like when I tried losing weight the first time, like I did that. I was like, I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat super healthy, I'm going to do all these things. And what you kind of immediately learn is that, fuck, that sucks. Doing so much lifestyle change sucks. And that's probably what scares people away, because they they immediately feel the difference. Even if it's like objectively good, even if like you can tell, okay, like waking up was probably a good idea, eating healthy was probably a good idea, going to the gym was probably a good idea. Doing it all at once so like erratically is not fun for anyone. No one is designed to have such big change. You gotta break it up, or else it's gonna feel fucking jarring trying to do everything. For me, it was like waking up was pretty easy. Eating healthy was relatively easy for me, just because I was able to, like, I don't know, identify foods that were like pretty good, and just kind of dive super into them. But going to the gym, because it's like that was like the hardest part. Just getting there was like a fucking chore. It's brutal.
I know I was extra trying to lose weight, and I know some of you might be extra too. Implement one thing at a time. And that one thing for me that changed it all was just, okay, I now know that protein makes me a lot fuller. So I started consuming protein. That was the only thing. I didn't change all these crazy things at once. Just start consuming more protein. Every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just implement it and just see what happens. And I would personally recommend trying to find 5 meals that are protein-based that you like. For me, it was Greek yogurt, chicken, I like steak, I like tilapia, and I like shrimp. Those are
None of those were meals. Those were all just protein sources. Right? No, but I get this point. Protein is definitely a good way to, like, kind of like a good first step. I'd say like an alternative to some people, especially girls. My girlfriend is definitely an example of this. I think they have a hard time with like the concept of like overloading protein, because like I think outside of the realm of like the obvious with like meat, any other protein source kind of in abundance just seems like a terrible idea. I'd say an alternative to this, if you're not trying to eat a lot of protein, or if maybe protein upsets your stomach, he mentioned 3 meals. Just do that. Start with not snacking. Hard to do, but start with like just the idea of like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna eat my 3 meals and that's it. And like, it's a good way to kind of build a foundation of like slowly taking away. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to reach a point where you kind of tell yourself, okay, I have to eat less calories if I want to lose weight. I'm going to assume he's going to mention something about protein keeping you full, which is nice, which is why protein loading in the beginning does kind of help. But there's just going to be people who have aversion to these things. And I understand at some point, kind of, you got to hit a wall and you have to go for it. But when you're in the beginning stages, you have to trial and error. So maybe that trial and error comes in the form of like, I'm not going to snack. I'm just going to eat my meals and that's it. And you build across from there.
Used pretty much every single week that I just rotated with the protein, so I didn't really get sick of it. It worked a lot. Honestly, some of you might...
Also, did he say one of his favorite protein sources is tilapia? That's gross.
Laugh at me for this, but when I was overweight and when I was finding those high protein foods, I found one that I absolutely loved as well, which was cottage cheese. I ate like a dog. It was good quality food and I ate it a lot.
Pro tip. Eat cottage cheese. If you don't want to deal with the texture or the curds, blend it. If you blend it, it creates like a creamy, almost like Cool Whip texture, maybe a little thicker. And I mean, it won't taste any different unless you add things to it. That was kind of what I did in the beginning. You take cottage cheese, you blend it to make it creamy, add sweetening like ingredients like sweetener, a little bit of cinnamon, maybe a little bit of honey, and all of a sudden you're making like a healthy, high protein icing of some sort. That's a fucking game changer.
Just like a dog. Yeah, I pretty much did that every single day and people made fun of me for it, but it got me to where I'm at. So find the foods that you love that are high protein and just have that on reoccurring. Have that rotation. It's going to help immensely. Number 2.
Just like I said, trial and error. You have to just try foods and you're eventually going to find something that works. You're going to find something that kind of fits your macros, as you're probably going to hear a lot, fits your diet, and then you just fucking take off with that. Yeah, you might end up eating the same things, but you're realizing that sometimes eating the same thing is better than having to recount and check every single time if something works for you. It's just so much quicker to find a meal that you like and just run with it.
2. Week 2 to 4, add the movements. And again, I want to be clear about something here. When you go and add these movements, when you go and start going to the gym, when you start doing cardio, a lot of people want to just go straight to the big stuff. They want to start going to the gym 6 to 7 times a week. They want to do a straight up marathon. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's always like my least favorite thing when people get like super, like they kind of like have their first workout. And like we all know that feeling of like that first good workout early on. It's like a good feeling of being in the gym, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna go fucking twice a day, I'm gonna go 5 times a week. Brother, that shit is gonna wear off. That honeymoon phase is gonna be fucking gone, and then you're gonna be back to chips on the couch. Like, take it slow, for real. Start with walking and do that forever. So start with maybe a workout or 2 a week. Like, the pacing of working out is so incredibly misunderstood and misunderrated by people. It's absurd.
I slowly started implementing stuff. And over time, I got to 5-6 days a week. And that's what I like. And that's what I did. And when you're going to the gym, it's not like punishing yourself. For example, right now, go 3 days a week. Go push, pull legs. So for example, push, do some, chest, and pull is a back exercise, and legs, don't do legs, just joking. Go and do some hamstring.
I feel like he wasn't joking with that one. Definitely do your legs. People, I get the jokes around not doing legs is there, and I get it. But when you're 70 and you're trying to fucking stand up from the toilet, or even earlier than that, when you're in your late 50s, you're trying to get up from the toilet, you're going to thank yourself if you have fucking strong legs.
Go do some quadriceps, go do, some squats, whatever. Just have a simple plan and don't be going and doing these crazy exercises that you see online. Just make it simple. Keep it simple. But slowly over time, of course, you can implement more and more because you're just gonna get more comfortable. One thing I will say is try to get at least 10,000 steps. I think that's something that you can implement right now, is try to get 10,000 steps a day. And I would recommend getting some kind of Apple Watch or
10,000 steps a day, great. It's also arbitrary. People think that 10,000 steps is like a really specific science. It's just kind of like, hey, we figured after a bunch of studies that 10,000 steps is kind of sort of just where people should be at. It doesn't have to be at once. 10,000 steps is like roughly like an hour-ish worth of walking. Fucking every couple of hours, if you have the ability, depending on if your job permits it, just go for a 15-minute walk. At the end of the day, after dinner, just go for a half-hour walk. Do fucking anything to get 10,000 steps in, because you will notice the difference every time. And whether you do it because you understand that it's important for exercise, or whether you do it because like it helps clear your mind. There's studies that say like people have like cognitive improvement because they just go for a walk every once in a while. That's something that you can explore. There's something to that. You should go for it. Just go for a walk.
Ring is what I usually use. Things like that so you can track those steps. Highly recommend it, and it'll keep you accountable. And honestly, most people can do that without even stepping foot in a gym. Number 3, month 2, fix the weekend. So many people like to grind out the...
That's a big one. Fix the weekend. I think something that helps a lot of people is, instead of looking at your caloric goals or any of the goals that you have from a daily standpoint, looking at it from a weekly standpoint. If you look at it from a weekly standpoint, oh my God, do you realize how stupid you are on weekends? I used to be guilty of that. I was going to the gym like 4 days a week. I was going and eating like pretty clean with my friends. But then for some reason, it's because back when I was a kid, I would go to a lot of like hardcore shows. And after hardcore shows, a big thing is like Taco Bell, going to a diner. And I would always fucking just go to the diner, go to Taco Bell, and just go fucking hard because I'm hanging out with my friends. And I always said to myself, I'll start back up Monday. It's crazy when left to my own devices how insane I'll go calorically. Actions and events that I could never recover from happen every weekend hanging out with my friends. And I'm not saying don't enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. But just be mindful during the weekend, because otherwise you're going to end up buying the entire Lux pack and just eating it yourself. And that's a great time or a good time, depending on who you're looking at.
5 days, Monday through Friday. They're locked in, they're having their chicken and rice and broccoli. And then when the weekend comes, people crash out. People go and they go hang out with friends, they go to parties, they go to clubs, whatever you guys do. That's when everything just goes off plan. Because let's say you're consuming 2,000 calories a day. Let's say that's your deficit. And then you go and have 6,000 to maybe 7,000 calories through the weekend. That whole week is ruined. You're in maintenance, or if anything, you're in a surplus of calories. That's what most people do. And that's exactly something that I did. When I was over 300 pounds, I locked in Monday through Friday. Like I thought that was like the golden rule. If you're able to do Monday through Friday, you're good. That is absolutely not the case. When I started realizing that it's like, oh, okay, I actually kind of have to lock in on the weekends as well, that's when a lot of things kind of started working out in my favor. Not saying that you can't go and have nice dinners, or you can't.
This guy's literally, I'm saying everything he's saying before him because it's obvious. Like, these are obvious points that he's making. They're important to be reminded. I think there's a saying that goes like, not everyone needs to be taught, but many people need to be reminded. I probably paraphrase that. But like, there is truth to these things. It's kind of why you kind of hear these points become echoed throughout anyone who has any sort of interest in fitness and health, because these principles are the same. We have fortunately had enough people in history with enough knowledge and enough interest in health and fitness to have pretty substantial, both anecdotal and studied evidence that these properties and these things just work. Walk as much as you can within reason. Eat within reason. Lock in on certain days while still enjoying your life. Have balance. It's sort of just like the only fucking thing you need to do. And do it for the right reasons. Like, listen, I did it for vain reasons at first. The reason I wanted to originally lose weight is because I went through a pretty bad breakup and I wanted to be the hot one. I don't regret that because it led me to understand and actually eventually discover that I actually liked being healthy and I actually liked doing these things. And it transitioned out into that kind of unhealthy reasoning into healthy reasoning. And that's pretty good. But you might just not always immediately fall out of that headspace. So just like do it for the right reasons. But anything to get your motivation is going to be fine. I'm at this point, I don't know where I'm going with that point.
Go and do things on the weekends. You could absolutely enjoy yourself, but just understand that this is all a math game at the end of the day. Let's use the whole week, for example. Throughout the whole week, you are able to consume 14,000 calories to be in that deficit. Stop looking at things as like it's a day to day, but maybe a week to week. So 2 times 7, that is 14,000 calories. So if you consume 2, 4, 6, 8, 10,000 calories Monday through Friday, but then let's say you're consuming 7,000 calories on the weekend, that's gonna put you over your deficit. You're gonna be in a surplus of calories. That's where people go wrong. And again, I know the weekends are difficult. Your buddies are off, you're not working, you're kind of at home. Yeah, you're chilling, you're relaxing, the fridge is right next to you. You see.
This is honestly an excellent video. I would recommend watching all of this. Everything he's saying so far has been dead on. Because again, tried and true and tested things that just work for many, many people. Yes, everyone is different. Everyone has a unique story and a unique set of circumstances and things like that. But certain concepts just kind of ring throughout history and just they're good to kind of latch onto.
Just to be more like, okay, it doesn't matter. You know, you don't have a system compared Monday through Friday. A system where you wake up in the morning, you go to work, you do these things, you come home. That's a system. On the weekend, a lot of people don't have a system. So the big thing I would say here is have a system in play when it comes
to structure. People do really well with structure. If you don't have a structure to lose weight and to kind of do healthy things, you know, meal prep is a example of structure, because with meal prepping, you don't have the ability to justify going out to get bad food because you already have good food prepared, and good and bad are interchangeable. But my point is that it's about kind of setting yourself up for success versus letting yourself fall into failure.
Down to the weekend, wake up at a certain time, go to the gym at a certain time, go on a walk at a certain time. Have these things in play so you create a system on the weekends so you don't crash out. And number 4, accountability. So many people overlook accountability because it's something that they're like, oh, I don't necessarily need it. It's like, yeah, you don't need it, but it's something I would definitely recommend. I just want to give you guys a quick example. If you guys were to get on the scale every single week and there were 5,000 people watching you in the stands and you had to weigh in front of 5,000 people, would you?
Brother, I would faint with one person watching me, let alone 5,000. But he has a good point. Like, I don't know if accountability is kind of a cop-out point, but there is something to be said that you can eventually, you know, you're only, I try to walk the line where I'm like being courteous and nice to people's emotions, especially when I'm talking about really sensitive topics like weight loss and exercise. But there does come a point where eventually you're like, yo, brother, like, you don't like your body, you don't like yourself. So what are we doing about it? Right? Like, eventually you have to decide for yourself what makes sense. Is it harder to live overweight and unconfident, or is it harder to, you know, wake up, get some energy in you and go to the gym? Which one's harder? Because I'm telling you right now, most of the time it's like you wake up, you still have all this melatonin, all these things kind of in your brain, so you feel tired. If you actually just get up and like just looked out the window, in about 2 minutes, you're going to not feel as tired anymore, because your brain's going to realize, oh, we're getting up and doing energy related things. Let's get up and actually give this guy some energy. Like, it's going to happen right away. And that's like the important thing to remember. And it's like you feel tired in that moment. If you just get up and go, you're gonna get energy to do things. Like, the accountability doesn't always have to look like writing everything down or kind of being very strict to yourself. The accountability is just like remembering that there's a reason we're doing these things.
ever gain weight? Probably not, because every single week people are looking at you being like, is he gonna lose weight this week or is he gonna gain weight this week? And that kind of accountability is what really pushes people to stay on track, because it's honestly, it's a thing to do to stay on track. And that's where most people fail, is because they can't stay on track. It's really easy to go and be in a deficit for a week, but then you fall off. This is where accountability really comes into play. So have that in your head. It's like, would I ever honestly gain weight? Would I ever fail my diet? Would I ever fall off? If there were thousands of people watching me every single week, I guarantee you wouldn't. You would be afraid to fall off, because you'd be like, so many people are counting on me. So many people are just gonna.
I don't think that's true at all. I think there's a lot of people who don't give a shit. How many people on the internet have hundreds of thousands of followers but still act like fucking complete degenerates? I don't think public perception affects everybody. It affects a lot of people. It affects most people. Not everybody. There's some popular big people. That one dude who's always like, mood, you guys? That dude, oh my God. He's eating like frosting with butter, or butter with frosting. I don't even know the order in which it happens. Mood, you guys? I feel like I'm doing a pretty good impression.
Watch this next weigh-in. And that's exactly what I implemented into my own life. I started social media being overweight. I woke up every single morning implementing my lifestyle and implementing when I'm going to the gym, what I'm eating, my weigh-ins. Every single week I did that, and people were holding me accountable inside the comments. I didn't think any of this was gonna come about, this whole social media stuff. I just wanted a few people in the comment section to keep me accountable. And that's exactly what happened. And that's what truly pushed me to become the person I am today, is the accountability. And it's so awesome, because I created a program where this is honestly like a big portion of the program is the accountability section. There's so many people in there that are constantly on you, like, hey, you weighed in last.
Yeah, I mean, this guy obviously has done a lot for a lot of people. I mean, he just showed a bunch of pictures. The program he has is probably excellent. The only thing so far I've maybe not necessarily disagree with, but maybe would have also presented in the beginning when he said that the first step would be protein. I kind of mentioned like, oh, maybe protein's not a good thing, so try to figure out less meals. Another thing, I would also just try to learn your macros. I think sometimes people struggle to have like quote unquote healthy meals because they don't actually know how to build a meal. When you're building a meal, it should just be, I'd say if you look at your plate as a circle, it should be 50% protein, 25% carbs, 25% fats. Completely interchangeable depending on what you're eating, completely interchangeable depending on what you like and how your body feels, and so on and so forth. Experiment with it. But when you're building a plate, there should be a carb, a protein, a fat. Like it should just be those three things, and that's it. Everything else is like, you should basically just read your nutrition label and try to figure out if it makes sense for you. And I know like it's, people kind of have a hard time reading nutrition labels because like, oh, it turns eating into work at first, and then you learn, and then you're good. So like kind of get over it, you know? Like it's okay to do a little bit of work in order for your meal to not only be enjoyable but make sense for you. You want your food to not only be good but actually be somewhat useful to benefiting and improving your life.
This week I didn't see your weigh-in this week. Where you at? Talk to me. What's going on? And so many people are gonna flood your freaking comments. It's awesome. But that's what I wanted, and that's exactly what's happening inside of the community. On top of that, another huge
accountability doesn't have to be like post on the internet. You can make yourself accountable with your friends, your family, yourself, your parents, whatever it is. But, you know, I get it. The social aspect can be a useful tool for some people, but I honestly think that for a lot of people, it's going to do absolutely nothing.
Piece of accountability I had was with my friend Aaron. We were both overweight together, and we both decided to tackle this weight loss journey together. And guess what happened? We lost the weight together. We woke up at 4 a.m. every single morning, because that's when we were able to get up, and we drove to the gym every single day, 5 days a week. It was going to the gym, calling me super early, making sure I was up. It was that constant accountability. And guess what? There were days where I was like, dude, I really don't want to. And he's like, stop being a little wussy. Get to the gym. Let's do this thing. We're gonna get in the best shape of our freaking lives. And there were days where he was like, oh man, I really don't want to. I'm so tired. I just got off of work and this and that and this. Stop being a wussy and let's get to the gym. That's exactly what I said back to him. And that constant accountability drove us to get into the best shape of our lives. I promise you, implement this and it's going to work. And number 5, the one that most people skip, the recovery protocol. You can't go into this journey thinking that this is just gonna be smooth sailing all the way up to the top. You're gonna lose the weight. There's not gonna be any problems. If you think that, think again. That never happens. And if you've been trying to lose weight, you know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the days where you're going to mess up and then how to get back on track, because that was one of the biggest things that helped me, was this recovery process and what to do exactly. So let's take one of my stories, for example. I was, again, over 300 pounds and I go hard for like 2-3 weeks, which was great. And then I have a crash out session. I go and I probably have 6,000 to 7,000 calories in a day.
Literally the other day, I was tasked with babysitting my nieces, and I was like, I'm going to be a really good uncle, and I'm going to buy them donuts, a 6-pack of donuts. I let Duncan pick the donut flavors because I didn't even, I don't know, I don't really eat donuts, fortunately. I mean, that's not true. I love donuts. I just don't eat Dunkin' Donuts. Anyways, they brought an assortment of flavors and I had it delivered, and my nieces were like, oh, I don't like any of these flavors. So they just didn't eat any of the donuts. And with a veracity, with a speed unlike I ever knew, 4 of those donuts were gone, like devoured, gone. And I remember just like, it was like a blur. It was like a blur. I just like, they said, oh, I don't like these flavors. And they just walked away. And then I just ate the donuts. I didn't even hesitate. I had a moment, it was really of my previous self, where I was like, oh, all right, well, I don't want this to go to waste. And I just went for them. Could have offered them to other family members, could have waited, could have done anything. Instead, just went for the 4. The other 2 I couldn't eat. I could eat. Not because of physical inability. I couldn't muster the idea that I would eat a 6-pack of donuts before the day even started. So I just gave them away to, I think, like my brother-in-law. But my point is, that was a rough start to the morning. Because right now I'm on a cut. I'm in a weight loss phase. So that was a terrible way to start the morning. But, the principle reigns true. All I did was go, okay, that happened. We're past it. It is what it is. Was more mindful the rest of the day, eating more intuitively. And then the next day, we're right back on track. It really is that easy. One day truly will not knock your progress. I mean, I say that out loud as if I don't have like a whole battle in my mind every single time I have a bad cheat meal and I spiral, but it truly is like, okay, it just happened, move on, be consistent. Having a really good 6 out of 7 days on the grand scheme is going to create a lot more momentum, unless that one day you ate like 14,000 calories. But I mean, just try not to do that. They're like, the line is there. The line is, don't have a fucking food bender.
Crashing out turned in a whole month. In that whole month, I just put back all the weight again, and honestly probably put back on more weight. So this is exactly what I did. If I were to have a day where I just consumed so many calories, I just kind of gave up at that point, I would wake up facing my fears, knowing exactly what I did wrong, being like, okay, yesterday was a terrible day. But first thing I would have done is wake up, drink a ton of water with some electrolytes, go on a walk, and think about why you did what you did. Really study that, and just...
You don't have to do that. You don't have to study what you did. You know what you did because you are accustomed to a certain lifestyle and you decided to have fun with yourself. Yeah, you can analyze maybe what would have been a better alternative for next time, or like if you have a certain craving, you can replace that craving, but you don't have to like fucking pay a penance to what you've done. But what he said before that, drink a lot of water, go for a walk, it's genuinely a great idea to get you back on track. Once you start, especially if you do it super early in the day, you start your day with a walk and some electrolytes, setting yourself up immediately for success.
Move on. It's one of those things where I feel like people want to have this, like, you're far on the left side or far on the right side with this. It's like, okay, I'm just going to say screw it and just eat my life away again, or you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to fast for like 20 weeks. I'm going to go David Goggins style. I'm going to run 3 marathons in one day. There's this middle ground here. And that's exactly what I'm telling you to do, is have that middle ground. Maybe lower your deficit. Let's say you have a 2,000 calorie deficit, maybe lower it to 1,900, have a lighter breakfast, and then go on about your day. It's not that big of a deal. Think about it like this. There's 365 days in a year. All right? If you were to mess up 20 times, if you were to have 20 crash outs out of 365 days, if you really think about it like that in the macro, are those 20 days, is that a huge deal? Is that going to cause you to act?
It depends on how bad those 20 days were. If you're someone like me who for some reason sometimes sees food as like an endless pit challenge to see how full I can get, then yeah, you'd be surprised how much damage you can do in 20 days. But is that more likely to happen? No, you're more likely to just have like one bad meal, and bad is such a subjective term. Like, okay, maybe you like went with extra sauce, or maybe you doubled up on the fries that you ate that day. Like, that is in the grand scheme not going to be effective. But you need to, that's where your line of accountability is. You need to make sure that it's not that effective.
Those 20 days, is that a huge deal? Is that gonna cause you to actually put on more weight? No. But where people go wrong is when that one day leads into the next and then leads into the next. So the 20 days that you would have crashed out on, now it's like 80 days. So yeah, you're probably at maintenance from there, or you're, if anything, you're in a surplus of calories. So you have to make sure that you're just staying on track and you have a good recovery system. That's exactly what I did, and it will help you too. And I talk about this all the time inside of my weight loss program, and it's helped a ton of people. Because people, again, you can't have a weight loss journey and it can't be smooth sailing up to the top. That's just not how it works. So do these 5 things and you're going.
I mean, yeah, he had a lot of good points. A lot of things I would maybe alternate. But at the end of the day, this guy has a pretty good head on his shoulders. I would honestly watch the whole video, see a lot of his insight, and even go for his program. I mean, I think it's a good idea, really. I think the biggest takeaway from this is don't obsess over 90 days. Just make sure that you're doing something towards the direction of the goals that you want to accomplish, and don't put numbers on it, man. We live for a long time, but we also don't live for a long time. So you gotta enjoy your time while you're here. Worry about your friends, worry about your family, stay mindful.